Break is brought to you by AMAC, Association of Mature American Citizens.
All right, welcome back to American Sunrise. I am Brian Glenn. Thanks for joining us. Coming up, China waiting and watching as the Russia-Ukraine deal is being worked out. What does China stand to gain from all of this? As they retaliate, Gordon Chang will be here to help us disseminate all this information. But first, let's kick it over to Terrence Bates, standing by at the latest headlines. Terrence.
The Association of Mature American Citizens is the conservative voice for Americans 50 and older. AMAC is fighting for the values that you hold dear. Join today. Together, we can write the course of America.
Between Russia and Ukraine continues at the White House today as 47 is set to host Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky. Zelensky will be escorted by a delegation of European leaders, including German Chancellor Friedrich Merz, French President Emmanuel Macron, and British Prime Minister Keir Starmer. Zelensky's plus ones are believed to be joining him in an effort to avoid a similar dressing down and dismissal that he experienced during his last trip to the Oval Office. European Commission President Ursula von der Leyen, along with Finland's President Alexander Stubb and Italian Minister Giorgia Meloni, are also expected in D.C. today. The European leaders came together on Sunday in a show of unity, saying they are looking forward to talks related to security guarantees for Ukraine. However, the group is reportedly prepared to have discussions about the potential of Ukraine giving up land without Ukraine being part of those talks. The commander-in-chief is claiming, quote, big progress on Russia. Proposals on the table reportedly include Russia relinquishing small pockets of Ukraine in exchange for Kiev giving up Ukraine's eastern Donbas region. Major cities like Donetsk and Luhansk are in that region, which of course is already under Russian control. Zelensky argues the region was taken unjustly. On Sunday, top Trump administration officials took to the airwaves to explain the progress that's being made in negotiations with Russia.
That the United States is potentially prepared to be able to give Article 5 security guarantees, but not from NATO, directly from the United States and other European countries. That is big. I mean, really big.
Our goal here is to have a peace agreement to end this war, okay? And obviously we felt, and I agreed, that there was enough progress, not a lot of progress, but enough progress made in those talks to allow us to move to the next phase. If not, we wouldn't be having Zelensky flying all the way over here. We wouldn't be having all the Europeans coming all the way over here. Now understand, and take with a grain of salt, I'm not saying we're on the verge of a peace deal, but I am saying that we saw movement, enough movement to justify a follow-up meeting with Zelensky and the Europeans, enough movement for us to dedicate even more time to this. You talk about the sanctions. Look, at the end of the day, if peace is not going to be possible here, and this is just going to continue on as a war, people will continue to die by the thousands. The president has that option to then come in and impose new sanctions.
Stay tuned to Real America's Voice for live coverage of today's White House meetings. We'll have it for you the moment it happens. Peace is also at the heart of the nationwide protests and strikes that are happening in Israel in support of families of hostages still being held in Gaza. Demonstrators took to the streets calling on Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu to reach an agreement with Hamas to end the war and get the remaining hostages released. In some cases, as you can see here, protesters blocked traffic, including on major highways. As of last check, Israeli police reported that 38 demonstrators had been detained. Responding to the public outcry, Netanyahu holding firm, saying, and I quote here, "Those who call today for an end to the war without defeating Hamas are not only hardening Hamas's position and delaying the release of our hostages, they are also ensuring that the horrors of October 7th will repeat themselves over and over again." That's a quick check of your headlines. We'll have more headlines coming your way shortly, including a closer look at why European leaders feel that it's necessary to join Volodymyr Zelensky at the White House for today's meeting with President Trump. A former Defense Intelligence Agency officer joins us with insight. First, though, a quick look at this day in history. It was on this date in 1920 that America ratified the 19th Amendment to the Constitution, allowing women the right to vote. It remains a major milestone in the fight for women's rights and political equality in the United States. We're back in a moment.
To go back and pretend, 'cause I've heard it all before, and I've been down